If you've ever recorded with a 4-track cassette machine, then you know the challenge. You only have 4 tracks, and every bounce that you perform sacrifices some amount of control and clarity. But what if you could adapt to that limitation? Could it help transform your workflow and even fuel creativity? In my latest project, I set out to test that theory. I wanted to see how far I could push myself and my Tascam 424. Just how much music could I cram into these 4 tracks? The results kind of surprised me, and so I'm making a video. Let me tell you what happened. Now, on its face, the 424 gives you 4 mono tracks. You can use those to record individual sounds like a Nashville-tuned electric guitar and a vocal. He can't do anything right. Or you could use the Tascam's mixer section to combine multiple sounds into a single track like a cajon and a snare that have been played together. But you can also fill an open track with a re-recording of existing tracks. The Tascam's manual calls this a ping pong, but most people would call it a bounce. Bouncing is one way to record more than 4 tracks onto a 4-track. For example, you might take the recorded sounds of cajon and snare and electric guitar and bounce them down onto a single track, freeing up the original tracks for further recording. But bouncing has its limits. You need at least 1 free track to receive a bounce. And when you combine some other sounds into a bounce, you lose the ability to control those old sounds independently. You can only control them through the parameters that apply to the bounced track. And with each bounce comes generation loss. The tape, like this Type 2 tape, adds its own EQ color. It may add compression depending on how hot you are recording, and it will add a certain amount of hiss. The more you bounce, the more the effects of the tape compound. And from a technical standpoint, they degrade your sound. Or to put it more kindly, the bounce is not the sum of its parts, it's something a little bit different. And those differences mean that you can't record infinite tracks with perfect clarity onto cassette. So how many tracks can you really get using a 4-track? The answer depends on your tolerance for generation loss and also your guts as a performer and recordist. In this project, I wanted to go as far as I could without sacrificing control over my vocal or suffering too much generation loss. And to do that, I needed to push myself, mostly as a performer. It started when I tracked the cajon and snare. Normally, I would record those elements separately so that I could give each my complete attention, but this time I decided to record them together. When it came time to bounce, I took this a step further. I combined those drums and the electric guitar and added 2 new parts live during the bounce in real time. Bass guitar and background vocals. It can't do anything right. It took time for me to balance the levels and rehearse, but I ended up with 1 track containing 4 sounds. Really 5 if you count the cajon and snare as separate sounds. And then I had 2 tracks available for more recording. On the next track, I recorded a hi-hat and a background vocal at the same time using the same mic. As a result, as you might expect, the background vocal was buried in the mix, and the hi-hat alone felt sort of naked. So I decided to bounce them and to add something. I tried a keyboard, but something about the way this machine was working pushed my entire session out of tune, so I couldn't use that. I ended up tuning to the sound and using a nylon guitar. And whispering an extra vocal harmony for good measure. That left me with 1 open track, and I filled it with another electric rhythm guitar. At that point, my 4-track was full, but I had packed it with 11 distinct parts. 11 tracks is a lot. But I wasn't done. To share this recording with you, I needed to perform an external bounce. And that gave me one last chance to add more, so I added a little bit of reverb to the entire mix using an Alesis Quadriverb. And then during the mixdown, I added new performances of tambourine and electric lead guitar. And the final result, if you count the reverb, 14 sounds from a 4-track device. And about 2/3 of those sounds didn't suffer any generation loss. And really, I could have squeezed in more if I had performed more bounces, but I didn't want to, and I'm glad that I didn't. I really enjoyed multitasking those parts. It made me feel like a performer. It's very rare for me to get that live feel as a one-man band. And I'm really happy with the song itself. You can hear the song in its final mix at the end of this video, accompanied by real footage of me performing that final mixdown, plus tambourine, plus lead guitar. The song goes out to all the men in my audience, which I know is most of my audience. It's called Can't Do Anything Right. Stick around, let me know what you think about it. And while you're listening, think about your favorite way to push the limits of a DAWless device and leave it for all of us in the comments. And that's it. That's all I've got. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you around. It's time to celebrate the source of their frustration. He can't do anything right. He can't do anything right. He's reading Lonesome Dove in boxer shorts and loafers. He can't do anything right. He can't do anything right. All she wanted was a way to procreate, and now we honor all the things she tolerates. Punishes with puns. He's tangled up in Dylan. He can't do anything right. He can't do anything right. 20-minute poops and 30-second showers. All she wanted was a way to procreate, and now we honor everything she tolerates. Yeah, it's time to celebrate the source of their frustration. He can't do